In honor of Rosh Chodesh, I'd like to bring a vertel, which is a maisa that happened to me, from Hallel, from a very famous pasuk, Sabuni gam svavuni, b'shem Hashem ki amilam, in the capital of Min HaMeitzar. So when I was in high school, we had a diktuk teacher, Moira, a Rebbe, and as most yeshiva kids, we all really didn't care much for diktuk. We took it because we had no brera, and we suffered through it, and we got through it. The Rebbe in our particular class, his name was Rabbi Raps, happened to be a very Torah mensch, a very sweet man, so we gave him the covet of not giving him too much grief. One of the very few things that I remember from those years was this pasuk, where he said to us the principle of the term called kfulim. Kfulim are Hebrew verbs with two similar letters. And if there are two similar letters, there are different ways of conjugate that verb. And he used us as the example of lisvoiv, to turn or to surround. And he brought this pasuk. He said you can go sivavuni, you can also go sabuni. And the pasuk employs both of these terms, sabuni gam sivavuni. Fast forward 4 years, I'm in Yeshiva University and Yeshiva College, where we had to do diktuk all over again. This particular Mora was not very well liked. He was a very strict grammarian. We all could not stand grammar and diktuk. When he came to the lesson on kfulim, he said you have to do kfulim with only one letter, and he only used one example. I don't remember what it was. I raised my hand and I said, how about in Hallel, sabuni gan svavuni? He says, that's Tanachic, people don't talk that way anymore. But I said, but it's there in the pasuk. He didn't really much care, but I did put it in my macho, I did put it in my protest, and he didn't win. I felt that I won. After that class, I went back to my notes, which I kept in those days very meticulously, went back to my high school notes from 4 years previously, whipped out my notes from that class of Sabuni Gan Svavuni, trekked my way back to the high school, which was a block and a half away from the college building, found Rabbi Raps in his class, knocked on the door, went in, said, Rabbi Raps, can I bother you for 1 second? I said, you taught us a principle about kafulim, and I remembered it, and we had it now in class, and I questioned the more, because I said you can do it sabuni gan svavuni. He was astounded. His face broke into the widest grin. He grabbed my notes, showed it to his class. He said, look. He kept his notes from my class. He was so proud of me for having remembered something that he taught me so many years later. And I've met him many times over the years. I met him many times at Simchas, and even up here in the verdant Catskills, where he had a place nearby. And each time we met, we didn't say Shalom Aleichem, we both said simultaneously, Sabuni Gan Svavuni. It was such a pleasure to be Mahana another Yid, which is a good message, something we should all learn from. One of the most important things we can do in our life, if not the most important, is to be Mahana other Yidim. For you Mahana another Yid, you're doing Risayin Hashem, you have V'ahavta l'reacha kamoicha, and you're doing a tremendous mitzvah. Kein Yirbu. Bye-bye.